guys, welcome back. This week I got this comment. I heard when you make a complaint to HR, you shouldn't send HR the documentation you have because all they'll do is use it against you. What's your stance on this? I've touched on this subject before, but today I want to talk it through because how we handle our evidence is one of the most important strategic decisions we make. Whatever stage of the process we're in, if we don't give them enough, we're not going to make it through till the next stage. But on the other hand, if we give up everything that we have, that gives our employer a lot of extra time to neutralize it. And they do that. NASA's diversity manager spelled that out for me on the day I filed my complaint against my boss. She said it was just my word against my boss's. And I said no, it wasn't, because I had a lot of witnesses and a lot of documentation. And I'll never forget her answer. This is a long process. Witnesses go quiet and documents disappear. And as disheartening as that was to hear, I have to thank her for telling me that, because if she hadn't, I probably would have given NASA all the evidence that I had right away. And I probably would have lost my case because of it. So we can't show all our cards, but at the same time, we have to act in good faith. Good faith means being honest and transparent, even when our employer might not be. And the only way I found to do both of those things, protect myself while also acting in good faith, was to let the process dictate what I revealed and when I did it. Now, if you have an attorney, what you have to do is super simple. You just want to give your attorney everything you have and let them make the strategic decisions. But if you don't have an attorney yet, and especially if you're in the federal sector, then hearing how I handled my evidence might help you think through your own strategy. At each stage of the process, the first thing I did was try to figure out what EEOC was trying to accomplish at that stage, and what evidence they were going to need to do that. In the federal sector, that's all laid out in EEOC Management Directive 110, MD 110. So I always went in knowing exactly what EEOC was going to be looking for, and that's what I gave them. And nothing extra unless they asked. For instance, my EEOC counselor was primarily interested in the evidence I had that would establish my prima facie case for discrimination. And later on in that process, when NASA had articulated a legitimate non-discriminatory reason, which was actually pretext, then I had to use some of the evidence I had to rebut that. But even with that, by the end of my counseling process, I hadn't given my counselor everything I had. With my investigator, I gave her everything I had that was related to my claims against my boss. But I also had evidence that I didn't give her because she didn't need it. Like evidence of retaliation by the diversity manager, HR, and other officials. If I'd had to take NASA to federal court, my attorney would have tried to bring all that stuff in, I'm sure. But my EEOC case was almost entirely focused on my boss, so we didn't need to use it there. I also had a bunch of defensive data that I didn't give to my investigator. The stuff I thought I might need to rebut NASA's pretext if they came up with something new. Now again, some of that evidence I eventually used when I needed to, but most of it I never used and nobody else ever saw. I also had a stack of impeachment evidence. This is the stuff that I had for my attorney to be able to impeach NASA's witnesses in case we had to go to federal court. Like this one witness who claimed to be in the office on a day when I could prove he was in jail for his second DUI offense. I didn't need that kind of stuff at EEOC either. And I also had a bunch of evidence that I thought I might need that I ended up not needing. Like in the beginning when my boss told me that she wasn't going to reasonably accommodate me because it wouldn't be fair to her non-disabled employees. I documented that she said that, but I never needed to use that in my EEOC case because she never repeated it to EEOC and NASA never tried to raise it as a defense. And my attorney never raised it either because she had plenty of other stuff that she could get them on. Now, there are times when NASA tried to pressure me into giving up everything I had because I'm sure they wanted to see it all. But I always just told them I'm not comfortable doing that considering the warning you gave me on day one of this process. I gave them what I thought was appropriate, and I told them, if there's something else you need, ask, and if I can give it to you, I will. So do I recommend giving your employer everything? Definitely not. But I also wouldn't recommend deliberately trying to withhold information that's relevant to the process. What I tried to do was reveal my evidence when it was needed and not before. And I let the process guide me. It's not a magic formula, but I hope it helps. We'll see you guys next time. Till then, take care and hang in. Fight smart and hang in to win.